Hey everyone, I have a very shaky camera. Um, hey everyone, I am coming today. I received in the mail some wonderful brushes from Rosemary. These are watercolor brushes. They're actually synthetic brushes, which I normally don't recommend. But recently, um, Rosemary is unable, as of right now, to sell sable brushes, which I normally use, to the U.S. They're working on getting some certifications renewed. Um, who knows, right? So what I did is I asked them, and they sent three different types of synthetic brushes. So I'm going to try them out. Um, on the website, they say they work as good as sable. So I'm really curious. Yeah, they look nice. So let's take a look. Okay, so um, one quick thing before we get into the brushes, I did get some cool stuff, some information from them about some different things they have, some cleaners, um, some nice workshops. But also, there's something here about brush cleaning, which is, I think it's pretty important, more so than we think. And really all they say is just to get a bar of soap and clean your brushes, whether it's watercolors or acrylic or oils. And I agree 100%. I think just some simple soap. They say Dawn dish soap. I use a bar called Fell's Naphtha that you can find in the laundry soap aisle. It doesn't have any dyes or additives. It's very, um, but yeah. Um, they said that the mineral spirits just kill the brushes, and I couldn't figure out why for the longest time my brushes were being destroyed. But it was the use of mineral spirits when I was painting oils. All right, so with synthetics, the reason I don't, there's a couple of reasons I don't recommend them. One of the big ones is, well, there's several reasons actually, but as opposed to like a sable brush, which is, they look the same. Like when I got it out, I'm like, oh, did they send me the wrong brush? But no, they're different, even though they look very similar. Part of the reason is that synthetics, it's hard to control sometimes how much water flows out. Like a synthetic, like sometimes you get too much of it coming out. It's hard to, with a good sable, you can get a very fine line. So we're going to try that. Also, I've found that they're harder to clean. With a sable, you can just swish them in water and they're pretty much clean. With synthetics, most synthetics I've used, they have a very, it's hard to get them clean. Anyway, so one thing I did want to say is they come in these little tubes. I wouldn't put these back on after you take them off, just because you can push the fibers of the brush out and they'll splay and they'll get ruined. Also, you know, sometimes when you get a brush, it's kind of, it's hard. They have a bit of glue in there. All you do for that is just get your water, and you can clean it a little bit and get some of that glue off of there. So let's do this one first. This is their this is called their Designer Series 344, which I've never used any of these before. So I'm kind of excited for this. So one thing I'm going to test is the flow of the paint, like how much it flows off the brush, just to see, you know, if it releases a lot of paint all at once or if it's like a slow gradual thing. I know I'm going to get a pretty fine line. Synthetics have never had a problem of getting like nice fine lines, but that's a really nice point on there. Look at that point. So I'm just going to start with just a fine line here. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's not like, even though it's a big brush, it's not putting out a ton of water. It's a little bit, some of this is brush control as well. Like if you want to get a really fine line, you want to hold your brush like upright if you can. And brace it with, hard to show because the camera's on my left side, but I'll hold it upright. I'll brace it with my pinky. Yeah, you can get a pretty fine line with this. This is nice. All right, so that's pretty good there. I'm gonna push down with the brush and try to get more paint to flow out. So I'm gonna push down. I'm gonna see how long it takes for the brush to empty its paint out. So I'm starting to break apart there in the broken lines, but it still has paint on it. That's interesting. So I could even come back in while this is still wet, put more paint on it, and go over those broken lines again. If it starts to dry though, it's gonna start getting some other lines, which we don't want. So that's pretty good. That's surprisingly good. Like, I'm not having any issues with this that I normally would. The other thing with synthetics is the ones I've used, they don't hold a ton of paint. Like in the belly of the paintbrush. Like this one here. This is called the belly, the middle part, and that's what holds a lot of the paint on there. This one doesn't seem to have quite as much. I mean, I was able to get a fair way through, but it did get some broken edges on there. So that's something to think about. Like, I'm fully loading my brush. I'm getting lots of paint on there, and then okay, that's pretty good. I can't really ask for much more than that. That's a nice brush stroke. Got some good, nice and solid all the way through. Got a bit of broken line, but that's okay. All right. So the second part is the cleaning. This is really the most part. The cleaning is sort of but I'm gonna swish in the water, dry it off, and then we're gonna see how much paint is still on there. Not bad. Yeah, that's pretty clean. Do it one more time. All right, that's pretty good. That's really good, actually. Okay. All right. So yeah, designer series 344. So far, pretty good. All right. Next up would be our, looks like a pointed, the red dot series. This is their biggest series. This is their signature series, so to speak. I'm gonna try this out. Same color. Maybe I'll mix a bit of phthalo in there just for a bit of a color contrast. All right. Good. So again, we're gonna start with our fine lines. Get a bit of fuzz off of there. Okay. Start with fine lines. So you can do it so you can see it here. Yeah. Yeah, it's not releasing all its paint. I don't know what this is made of, but it's better than, both of these are better than any synthetics I've ever used. That's pretty good. Yeah, and it's not like flowing out. You're just getting a nice gentle. Yeah, that's good. All right, so let's try the second test. We're gonna do the similar thing. We just start at the top, push down, and just slowly bring it down, letting that paint come out of the brush. Didn't quite get all the way down, did it? Also, I noticed there was a bit of a hair. Maybe not. It's just kind of a loose hair there. Never mind. Okay, let's try that again. Let's get fresh paint on here. Really load it up. Maybe there. All right. Just want so it's just like almost dripping off there. Let's see. Nice and slow. Okay. Again, it didn't quite get as far as this brush here. Which one was it? Sorry, the designer series. But it's not terrible. That's a pretty good. That's a really nice, nice brush stroke. And if you have to, you can come back in and, while it's still very wet. This is obviously a little dry by now. But you can come back in. Yeah. See, it's starting set up a bit already. But that's, yeah, that's not terrible. No, it's pretty good. Better than I expected. I've had bad luck with synthetics, so this is nice. Now we'll clean the brush. Oh, there's no paint on there. Thumbs up. Okay. All right, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah. So far we got the designer series here. We have our red dot series for the middle, and then the last one they sent is, it's called a sienna, which I'm not familiar with at all. It has a look of a squirrel brush, which I wonder if that's what they were going for. Squirrel brushes, this feels most like a natural brush out of all these. Just has that feel. Normally a synthetic very like snappy, like it really has a high spring. This has a softer bit, like a normal sable brush. Okay. All right, so what are we gonna do with this one? Same thing, right? I'm gonna get a bit more blue into our color, just to change it up a bit. And yeah, start with our little fine lines. Hold it upright. Okay, yeah. Not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. All right. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, no complaints. That's good. All right. I also have a rigger I want to test out too that you get really fine lines with. So here's the other test. I'm going to start here, push down, just slowly bring it down, letting that paint gravity pull it onto the paper. Okay, got about halfway before it started breaking up. Try it one more time here. I'm not saying this is any worse than sable brushes. You know, if I turn your brush maybe a little bit. All right, that's weird. That sort of like I turned my brush a bit and a bunch of paint came back out. Again, I'm not saying that sables don't do that. All right, I'm gonna test the paint out. There's still a little bit of paint residue on there, but again, it's not terrible. I've seen students clean their brush and come back and they'll just have a ton of paint still on their brush. Yeah, okay. Let's try that again. Okay, a little bit harder to clean, I feel like. But great brush strokes. I like that one. That one's good. Just for comparison, let me take, this is a normal red sable brush. Get some of that glue off of there. This is about the same size as the one I just used. Is that this one? No, I don't know which one that was. Getting confused here. So that was an 8. This is a 9. You can see the difference. A little bit different size. So I'm going to take maybe a bit more pink in there just to change it so I can see the difference. I'm going to come back over here since this is already dry. Let's start at the top, push down with it, go nice and slow. You can see how well that holds the paint. Okay, it gets to the bottom and does start to break up a little bit. Very similar to how this brush acted. Really held on to paint till it got to the bottom. These two, you can see they sort of broke up a bit. Again, not terrible brushes, but I feel like this one might be, this is the designer series. That one might act the closest to an actual sable brush. Okay, that's good. That's good to know. All right, and then lastly, I have a couple of riggers I want to test out. Maybe just one rigger. I have a rigger I want to test out. This This is also a red dot. Riggers are just a nice narrow brush. They still have a big belly, so you can hold a lot of paint, but there's not too many bristles, so they let's see, test it here. That's still wet. Okay, I'm testing going across, maybe across. Oh yeah, look at that. That's nice. Not great for painting like little areas, but for doing rigging on boats, any kind of, anywhere you need a fine line. And this is a great one. Yeah. Um, these are all really good brushes. Yeah, there's nothing, I would be happy to use any of these with any of my watercolor paints. Okay, so we tried 3 different kinds of brushes. The first one was our designer series brush, designer 344. The second one was our red dot series, it's their main one. And then the final one is their sienna brush. All of them are great. I would, like I said, I would use any of them. They said on their website that they work as good as Sable's, and it's awful close. They're nice. They're nice brushes. So I can definitely recommend all 3 sets. But yeah, so thank you to Rosemary for sending me these brushes to test out, so I can. Their products, I've never had a bad brush from them. All their stuff is really good. I send everybody there. No one's ever been unhappy with what they've received. So yeah, check them out. They're good. All right, talk to you later.